Hello, and welcome to the Venue Coach Blueprint for Owners. I'm Kyle Labar. This podcast is all about helping you fill your wedding venue with more bookings, earn more from each one, and keep your customers happy for a long time. We'll also talk about some tough times and big lessons that I've learned along the way. Let's dive in together and make your venue the best spot for weddings. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Venue Coach with Kyle Labar. Today I wanted to talk about upsells, how to maximize your profit, how to have good add-ons, that sort of thing, to really just keep making a little bit more at a time. Every little bit helps, that sort of thing. So we want to take a look at, and these are the questions that we asked ourselves at our venue on how to maximize our profit, right? So we started with a lower price point to really just get people in the door that we knew was going to be under market value, that sort of thing, so we could just really fill the calendar. Once we got past that initial point and started really building out our calendar, we started, just raising the rates in general. And so that is definitely, I got the hiccups or something. But that is definitely something that you want to analyze, is raising your rates on the actual package and that sort of thing. But then there's also all the different little add-ons. So one thing that we looked at, and really you get the benefit because at your venue you get to see all of the different types of services and vendors that couples are booking. So for instance, we kept seeing somebody in town who had a photo booth, and they kept coming out to our venue on many occasions. And so we said, wonder what's here. And so with that, we were able to find a photo booth that was very similar to theirs, and we bought it, and then we became the exclusive vendor for that item. And the good thing is we offered it for actually less than what the person in town was offering it for, and for more time. And so they were getting more out of it because, we were basically forcing their hand. If they wanted to have a photo booth, it had to be ours. And so with that is a little bit of, well, even though you have to use ours, we actually made it cheaper than anyone else around to offset that. And so because it's the same, it's not like a photographer A versus photographer B who has two different styles and they might just not like your style, and that's completely okay. Versus the photo booth, there's not a lot of differentiation between them. You can do custom backgrounds, you can do the GIFs, you can do the files, all this stuff, right? And so with that, there's just not a lot of differentiation. So we were looking for something that was cheap and easily differentiated, or no differentiation, I should say, from vendor to vendor. So we bought the photo booth. I think we spent, $7,500 on it. And we get 90% of our couples who book it. And we charge $500 a month, or 500 a month, $500 per event. And so if we're getting 90%, we booked 100 events last year. If we get 90%, that's 90 times 500. That's $45,000 extra. And we set it up. I mean, it stays set up most of the time, and we turn it on and make sure it's working and change the media out and everything like that. And that's about it. We make sure that it keeps working during the event, but most fixes are really easy. And so we don't have to do a lot of time or effort or money into it to be making money on it on almost every event that we do. So there's one good example. And then on a bigger scale, well, actually, let me back up. Because you want to start with, like I said, you want to start with the things that are cheaper to replicate, and that don't take a lot of time and effort to then manage. And so it could be like that. Now, if you wanted to add a photographer in-house, that sort of thing, you can certainly do that. But again, it goes back to it's different styles resonate with different people, and so if you're going to force people to use your photographer, you might actually lose some clientele because of that. unless you have just a phenomenal top-notch photographer team or you're offering a great price or things like that. But there's ways to do it. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying that probably wouldn't be my focus to begin with, but that's just me. And so the next thing that we focused on was actually a decor closet. And so a lot of people like to rent out decor and this and that because they don't want to own the stuff, they just want to use it. And they're very expensive. And so we actually bought inventory from a lady that was retiring, and then we make it available to our couples to rent out for, I can't even remember the price, $250 for the day to rent out. And so again, not any effort really to do. It just took an initial investment, and then we rented out for $250. And so that adds up, and we're already seeing, we just recently did this, and we're already seeing good returns on that, and it will pay for itself in just a few events. And then by the end of the year, we could be making, a few extra 10, 20, 30, $40,000 from that. And then we also looked at adding our bar, getting our liquor license. And that takes a bit more effort. It took a lot of time to get cleared through the state, get your liquor license, get approved, get all of this stuff. There's a whole workaround. And if anyone has a bar in Texas, any venue owner in Texas, they know this, that if you are not in a wet county, then you have to become a private club, which we had the pleasure of doing, and that added extra time and dollars out to get the bar going. But at the end of the day, it's still a very valuable add-on to your venue. And so once that's done, then it's just keeping up with supplies and stock. And if you have a good bar manager, a good bartender, they can help you out with that. And so it takes a lot of the pressure off on you to make sure that your bar is staying stocked. And they just make sure that it stays stocked instead. And so then we have found that in our bar, across all events, with including events that don't have any alcohol at all, we average $1,500 in profit on every event. And so that's a really, really profitable value add. So then I was saving the biggest for last that we did, and this may not be suitable for and the reason why I saved it for last is it may not be feasible both in financial and or in time constraints or space constraints. So on our property we have 48 acres, and we found that a lot of people, especially in the Texas summer, do not like getting married outside, and so our summer months were suffering. And so we decided to build a standalone chapel. And this was very not an easy time, not an inexpensive fix, that sort of thing. So it takes a lot of preparation to do something like that. But if you're getting ready to do it, let me share with you some good numbers. It cost us about $400,000 to build. It took about a year. And but here's where it made the biggest impact, visible impact, is from May through August, the hottest months in Texas. 4 months. We had in preceding years, we had 6 total events during those months. And now, without really checking, but I think the last count was at 27 events this year, 2024, for the same months, May through August. And so we saw a 5x return on that, almost very nearly 5x return in just those months. And that's not also talking about the extra bookings that we'll get in the winter months, January to February, which in Texas are usually the next 2 slowest months of the year. And so we saw an immediate impact on our bookings for the year and directly attributed to the chapel. And so when you're looking at these investments that are going to be like big dollar spends, like I would say over 10K or over 20K, that sort of thing, you have to make sure that you're going to see a good ROI on it. So my hope for that chapel was that we would get an extra 12 bookings a year because of it. And that was just based on available Saturdays during those 4 months. And so when we got 21, that's just so much better. And so that's kind of how you have to look at it. How long will it take for me to make my money back when making this investment? So if it's not a lot of dollars, not a lot of time, and you're getting a high amount coming in, then it's not going to take very long. Like our photo booth, it probably took 2 months to pay for itself. The decor closet, same, probably about 2 or 3 months to pay for itself. The chapel, though, is going to be about 3.5, 4 years before we see a return on it. So that's why I say focus on the smaller things first that are going to have small, steady, consistent returns, and then start thinking about the big stuff. And you may find that some things just aren't worth doing. So last example before I hop off and let you guys get back to whatever it was that you're doing, we were looking at potentially paving our driveway, which is a half-mile long. And right now it's gravel, we're country, it's rustic, you know the drill. And it was going to cost about $250,000 to do, and that's being, it probably would have cost more. And so the question was, are we going to get more sales because of this, doing this paved driveway? And I really couldn't see a scenario that would justify spending that much on a new driveway when doing our regular maintenance on it every year would suffice. And so in that example, we chose not to spend the money and instead put it towards other things that would give us a better turnaround and return on our investment. So as business owners, it's our duty to make sure that we are being good stewards of the money that we have, and not just spending because it makes us feel good or we like the way that it looks, but we want to have a direct impact on our profit. And so let me know in the comments what sorts of great add-ons or features that you have had in your venues and that you've seen a good ROI on, that sort of thing. I'm always interested in seeing all of that data. And if you found this useful, if you found these tips or tricks helpful, like it, share it, drop a comment below. I'm happy to hear you guys' thoughts and see if this is resonating with anybody. But if not, then catch me on the next one. You might find something valuable in the next episode. With that, I will see you all later.